Welcome to Thursday, November 6, 2025, your Day Weather Podcast, brought to you by the Advocates Injury Attorneys. If you've been injured in an accident, don't face it alone. Get an experienced local Wyoming attorney on your side. Free consultations at WyomingAdvocates.com or call 307-800-1952. You deserve an advocate. Well, we've got earth weather and space weather to talk about with today's update. We are going to continue to see Pacific waves approaching and moving through. The first one comes in today. It's already brought in a lot of high mid-level clouds. It's starting to pick up the wind, and we'll see a little bit of moisture up into the higher elevations of the northern Rockies and the Pacific Northwest. More opportunities to go out and check out that Beaver Moon, as you'll see here in photos ahead, like the photo you see there from Round Valley, California. Now, we do have a stronger, colder Pacific wave with a little bit of Canadian air in it coming through Friday night and Saturday morning. And that's going to usher in, that little wave is going to end up causing a disturbance in the force, causing a big, deep, cold trough of low pressure to develop over the central and eastern United States late this weekend and early next week. It's giving our region a glancing blow. So that will produce some mountain snow. We'll have a little bit of rain and snow shower activity late Friday into Saturday morning across some areas of the northern Rockies and some adjacent plains, but it's a quick mover. So it's going to cause a lot more damage further east. So it will mean colder weather this weekend, especially east of the divide. It's going to be kind of chilly. Along and east of the divide, you'll feel the colder air through Monday. Then we're going to see good weather. We're going to have another nice stretch of November weather coming, especially Tuesday through Friday of next week. Tuesday through Friday of next week for a lot of the Rocky Mountain West is going to be warm again for November and likely dry before changes come by next weekend. We also have the new European monthly model to show you. It comes out around the 5th of each month, and interesting to show you what it's saying as we go into the months ahead. So taking a look at some good photos of that Beaver Moon and clouds across the area. Great shots all across the Intermountain West and the western high plains of that moon, and some great cloud formations. And here's our first photo, I think, from Iowa. Great shot there of the clouds and the colors. And near Casper, Bessemer Mountain there, the Beaver Moon shining very brightly as it came down. And downtown Lander, Beaver Moon lining up down Main Street. Here's a shot for you. That Beaver Moon really illuminating the skies. And yes, this is a nighttime photo. Nighttime photo of the moonlit lenticular clouds along the Wind River Mountains. How about that for a shot? Space weather now. The Aurora Borealis came out last night and was especially visible in the north central and northeastern parts of the U.S. and parts of Canada, obviously, as we have coronal mass ejections heading our way. And if you look at the bottom there, the geomatic storm prediction is for strong geomatic storm potential today and into tomorrow before weakening as we get into the weekend. It is looking like we are going to have a real high probability. Whether or not we're going to have clear skies and that bright moon is kind of a little bit of a problem. The aurora that came out last night came out early in terms of mountain time standards, but tonight and into the early morning hours of Friday might be a little bit different. There's your prediction. You see that view line, that solid lead line? You can see how further south. So if you have a break in the clouds and you don't have too much moon glow, there is a fairly high probability of seeing the Aurora Borealis tonight. But clouds will be a bit of a concern. As you can see in the satellite photo, the first Pacific wave is coming through right now, producing some cloudiness. Here's the next colder one coming back here from up in the Gulf of Alaska, as you can see it there. So wave number one comes through today, and we do have wind. The wind-prone areas of southeastern Wyoming, I-25, I-80. You're going to have some strong winds today, and we do have a winter weather advisory around Jackson for some snow with this first wave. And there will be some showers in the other mountains of the Intermountain West today and into the afternoon hours with this first wave. But the first wave isn't terribly moist. The second wave and the colder wave comes in overnight Friday. So this is around midnight time Friday. It will have some cold air behind it. And notice this core of cold right here over southern Hudson Bay. As we showed you yesterday, this guy right here is going to instigate a deeper trough forming right here. That's going to send a big cross-latitude air mass exchange from the northern latitudes to the southern latitudes. It'll be quite remarkable, actually. And while most of the real exciting weather won't be here in our part of the world, it certainly is going to get very interesting for the eastern half of the nation later this weekend and early next week. But as that system sideswipes, more wind is coming. So this is the cumulative wind gust today, tomorrow, through the day on Saturday. So expect some windy areas along with those colder temperatures. And this map looks a lot like the one I showed you yesterday. From the Pacific Northwest through the southern areas of Canada, out into the plains, there is going to be some rain and snow shower activity and some snow up into the high country. This is what we see through Saturday with these two waves. The cold air is most impressive. So you can see, as we showed you yesterday, the cold air backs right up against the divide and then is going to spill on in and expand and head east and southward. So the western edges will get some of you with colder, much colder temperatures for this weekend and into the early parts of Monday, while west of the divide, nice and warm relative to the 30-year average. Look at those temperature anomalies around noon Mountain Time on Monday. Look at that cold air sinking into the deep south. Look at the green covering the Gulf Coast region, getting all the way down into northeastern areas of Mexico. Look at those overnight low temperatures Tuesday morning across the southeast, as we showed you yesterday. A lot of Florida will be in the 30s. Deep freezing temperatures will be into Mississippi, Alabama, Georgia, and the Carolinas. And between now and Tuesday, you can see the extent of the snow is going to be pretty far south. It is highly likely that Tuesday of next week in a lot of the deep south will be colder than parts of the Intermountain West with this cold shot. And one reason for this is the big exchange of air mass from north to south with this system. See how sharp this trough is? So if you follow the wind comes up, comes down, and goes way down before curving back up. And another way to look at that is to look at what's called the dynamic tropopause potential temperature. Now, I know that's a mouthful. I know I'm not going to get too deep into the weeds here, but what I want you to recognize are the colors. Notice where you see the little white little balls up in Canada. This is a good way to represent the temperature of the atmosphere. And what I want you to observe here is that the source region for the cold air that gets all the way down to the southeastern United States and Florida gets its start northwest of Hudson Bay. Very high latitude. Look at the difference in latitude change from here to here from late this weekend and early next week. And this is a good way to represent the cold pockets of air and see them a little bit with a little bit more detail. Notice in the western United States, we go from purple with these waves to high pressure early next week. So this is a map that we may show you during the other parts of the winter season to show you where you can have these big transfer of air masses from high latitudes to low latitudes as the jet stream gets more wiggly. Speaking of a wiggly jet stream, by the weekend, next weekend, that's when we start to see the Intermountain West, the West Coast, start to see the weather get more busy again. Wanted to share with you the new European seasonal forecast that goes out 1 month at a time. We get this around the 5th of each month. So each month around the 5th, we get a new data set. And this tries to forecast weather patterns a month in advance out to several months. So you have to take it with a grain of salt. But what we're going to show you here is the 500 millibar forecast for the globe. And more importantly, we're going to be watching this part of the world right here and right here. But for the sake of these maps, for the next several months, wherever you see blue, think that more often than not you have low pressure. Wherever you see the yellow, more often than not you have high pressure. So that's where we are right now in the month of November. And this is how November's going. We got stormy weather in the North Pacific and the Gulf of Alaska, while we generally have fair weather going on right now. And that's how a lot of October went as well. But look what happens when we get into December. Notice again, up here, and we want to look for what the colors are doing. Blue, low pressure, yellow, high pressure. We have a phase change. We go to high pressure in the Gulf of Alaska with the yellow colors here. And notice the blue here in Canada and the Northern Rockies. So this is a complete 180 in the Pacific. So if it's going to do a 180, our weather will do a 180. And this is going to be developing and happening during the second half of November. And if we go through, that's December, that's January, and then this is February. The high pressure ridge actually retrogrades a little bit further west. So what you get is the jet stream that wants to do this. So we go from the jet stream doing this, high pressure dominated, low pressure dominated here, to high pressure here, then low pressure like this as we get into December, January, and February. Also, we do have the new sea surface temperature forecast. And as we have been discussing, the La Nina was going to weaken and transition to a neutral status and maybe a weak El Nino by spring. So that is still on the table, and the timing of that weakening La Nina is still on schedule as well. Have yourself a good Thursday. We'll see you tomorrow.